The podcast which you are about to listen to is an account of the awesomeness which befell a group of two younger middle-aged men. In particular, Dusty Lane and his ginger buddy Jason.
Fuck.
It is... Shut up, I'm trying to be serious. It is all the more awesome in that they were middle-aged, but had they lived very, very long lives, which they have, they could not have expected, nor would they have wished to see anything else with as much of the mad and macabre as they were to see the day they sat down to take notes for this film. For them, an idyllic summer afternoon chat became a nightmare, which was perfect for them, really. The events of that day were to lead to the discovery of one of the most fantastic movies in the annals of American history, the Texas Chain Saw Massacre. I'm Dusty Lane.
I'm Jason Mitchell.
And we are the Cenobites.
Hello?
I came for you. We have such sights to show you.
It was an excellent day for an exorcism.
I said, I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash your brains in.
I want to play a game.
What's the boogeyman?
As a matter of fact, it was. This is God.
We all go a little mad sometimes. Haven't you?
Put your brothers into that door!
But sometimes that is better.
Welcome back to Oblivion, everyone. Here we are once again talking about, man, one of the bestest movies in the whole wide world. Your favorite.
The best, yeah, by far.
Yeah, Texas Chain Saw Massacre. It's Texas Chain Saw Massacre, by the way.
Chainsaw.
There's like 58 movies in this franchise, and like 12 of them are just called Texas Chain Saw Massacre. It's crazy. I can't remember the distinction exactly, but yeah, like the newer Netflix one that just came out was just Texas Chainsaw Massacre, right? And then there was another one of those remakes somewhere. The remake was called The Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, they're all
but
over
the original
place.
was The Texas Chain Saw Massacre.
I feel like once you get past the third or fourth, you start calling them by their year or something. You know?
Yeah. Well, this is Texas Chain Saw Massacre 74.
Yeah. OG.
Directed by good old Tobe Hooper, the man. Rated R, of course. Runtime of 83 minutes. Studios involved, we've got Vortex Inc. and Bryanston Distributing. Our setting here is Kingsland, Texas. This was filmed somewhere around the some place called the Antlers Inn in Kingsland, Texas.
Shit, yeah.
That's pretty fun. So on location, it's legit, everybody. Everything you're seeing. Plot for this movie, basically 5 friends fuck around and find out the hard way. Everything's bigger in Texas, dude. Houses, wheelchairs, ramps, chainsaws, everything.
Texas is crazy too, man. Unless you go there, I don't think you really realize how big it is.
Yeah, I've never had the pleasure.
Like the idea of
watching movies like this, I might not.
Yeah, the idea of these people being out in the middle of nowhere in Texas is very real.
Oh yeah,
you know?
oh yeah, for sure.
It's fucking crazy.
When this movie came out, like things were sort of in upheaval in America in general, and a couple of decades before, we've got like Ed Gein, which is partially the inspiration for this movie. So it's a difference in, you know, the clean, shiny 1950s, you know, the house in suburbia with the white picket fence and all that. And now we're kind of exposing things that, you know, since they're experiencing Vietnam, there's the oil embargo that we'll talk about in a little bit later. Like things were kind of fucked up, like political strife and all kinds of things. The Robert Bloch novel Psycho is also the inspiration. Ed Gein was the inspiration for that as well.
Okay.
In addition to that, we've also got Dean Quarrel and Elmer Wayne Henley. In 70s Texas, they killed around 30 teen boys.
Oh, shit.
So that was another thing Tobe Hooper was drawing inspiration from here. Let's go through our cast list a little bit. Of course, we've got our main group here, led by Sally, played by Marilyn Burns. We got fucking Franklin, man. I can't stand Franklin. I liked him better in this watch through than I have previously, but he's just such a white
and it just shows you that he's actually a good actor. That's what his character is supposed to do.
Yeah,
played
by Paul A. Partain. I do appreciate the performance here.
Right. Yeah,
and he's doing
good.
exactly what he was meant to do. We're supposed to be annoyed like a motherfucker with Franklin.
Oh, hell yeah.
Everybody else in the group is.
Yeah, I think the actors even were too. You know, I remember people not getting along with him, but he's getting in character.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, this is like
he knows what he's
some
doing.
OG method acting going on. And yeah, everybody was in a foul-ass fucking mood through the entire filming of this. I mean, they're in Texas. It's hot as fuck.
Oh, yeah.
They're like using real meat and shit, like rotting meat for the dinner scene. Like it was fucking horrendous in there. And that shoot took like 23 hours or something to film. So nobody's really having fun filming this fucking movie.
Right.
Jerry, played by Alan Danziger. Kirk by William Vale. Pam is Terry McMinn. The Sawyer boys, we've got a couple of them credited as not the names that we now know them by, like Drayton and Nubbins.
Right.
Drayton's just credited as the old man in this, played by Jim Sedow. And the hitchhiker they call Nubbins is Edwin Neal. We've also got Grandpa in here, played by John. Is it Duggan or Dugan? Do you know?
I'm really not sure.
Either way.
I think it's Dugan. I'm really not sure, though.
He was actually a very young guy that they slathered in old people makeup.
Right.
And then we've got good old Leatherface, played by Gunnar Hansen.
Yeah.
This is another one of those situations where it's like, if Gunnar Hansen's not Leatherface, we've got a much different movie. If Nick Castle's not the Shape in Halloween 78, we've got a way different movie. Like, they just brought the perfect energy to these characters. And I think Leatherface, Gunnar Hansen in particular, because he's actually got to do some emotional acting in this movie.
Right.
The way Michael Myers absolutely doesn't. He has no emotion. He's, this is almost the antithesis of Michael Myers, but he's still, our slasher icon that we see, which this movie isn't exactly a slasher.
Right.
But, Gunnar Hansen's portrayal of this, like, very sympathetic character, like, you feel bad for him in certain parts. And these fucking teenagers just keep on breaking into his goddamn house and he's losing it. He's got to go sit down for a minute and he's putting his hands on the side of his face and he's like licking his lips and he's just freaking out for a second because he's like, what the fuck is going on today, dude? Leatherface is not having a good day in this movie.
I felt different. I thought he was excited because
no, man, he's upset as fuck. Like he's pleased with having a bounty for I don't know, is Drayton his uncle or something like that maybe?
Fuck, I don't even know.
I know that him and Nubbins are brothers,
right?
But I'm not. Drayton is older, so I don't. He's not dad. I'm assuming uncle or something like that,
right?
But yeah, I think that he's also upset with all of a sudden like he's not seeking out these people to kill. They're fucking stumbling onto him.
Right.
He steps out of his back room and fucking gets Kirk. Drags him in, and as soon as he sees that Pam is in his house too, he starts freaking out again. Like all of this shit is a surprise to him.
Right.
So yeah, I think due to his developmental disabilities and whatnot that he is upset by all this. And I think when we get the close up of him like licking his lips and his nasty ass teeth, I think he's sitting there having a moment like, Jesus fucking Christ, dude, like what is going on here today?
Okay.
So speaking of that close up, the cinematography in this movie is absolutely fucking incredible.
Oh yeah.
Daniel Pearl kills it from start to finish. The most beautiful shots, all kinds of, silhouette stuff, play between shadow and light. We've got colors and just textures on everything.
Yeah.
And part of it too is the film that they used back in the 70s. Obviously you're going to get some of that grit along with any of those movies, but
absolutely,
it has to do with where you're pointing the camera too. So the music in this is a bit of a different story. The music was done by Tobe Hooper himself and Wayne Bell. There's not much of a score to be spoken for in this movie, really.
It's like atmospheric
It's
stuff,
more, an atmospheric sound design situation is
which
more like that.
You've had a lot of movies like that, actually, where, well, you can't say, it's weird, because when I say score, I think of music.
Yeah.
And it doesn't actually need to be music.
I feel like, John Williams is in a fucking studio with a giant orchestra. And
right.
Fucking, you're doing all that stuff.
And this is more, there's still an orchestra there, I'm sure, but
this is more of a Foley situation where it's like, there's one part in this that I'm going to talk about where somebody's just going fucking ham sandwich on a cymbal.
Right.
Just a fucking drum set cymbal. And it's, just a couple dudes in the room. Yeah, here, I got a gong here. Maybe that'll be just cool. I don't know.
It makes it unsettling. Yeah, they know what they're doing though. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, man, are you ready to get into this?
Yeah, dude, let's go.
I think that about brings us to go time here. Our opening is just this. Well, I did it for the beginning there, the John Larroquette narration.
Mm-hmm.
We're treating this like a true story. We get an info scroll and he's, reading this introduction. And because of that, dropping the bit that it's in effect a true story here. It's kind of like the first viral marketing movie, if you think about it. Like, we hear all the shit about Blair Witch and Paranormal Activity, like claiming that it's a true story. Kind of gets you sucked in and puts you in a different place mentally to watch it.
Yeah, they're just setting the tone before the movie starts, and when you go in thinking
they want to start the movie with giving everybody an, oh fuck, really?
Right. Yeah, which wasn't nearly as common,
Right. He says, the film which you are about to see is an account of the tragedy which befell a group of 5 youths, in particular Sally Hardesty and her invalid brother Franklin. Wow, dude, rude. He goes, it is all the more tragic in that they were young, but had they lived very, very long lives, they could not have expected nor they would have wished to see as much of the mad and macabre as they were to see that day. For them, an idyllic summer afternoon drive became a nightmare. The events of that day were to lead to the discovery of one of the most bizarre crimes in the annals, he said annals, of American history, the Texas Chain Saw Massacre. That's good stuff.
Oh, hell yeah. I like the card here. It's like the screen's red as hell. And it's really
during the credit sequence?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell what's going on.
Yeah, for sure. Before we get that credit sequence, we get, there's a quick card just saying it's August 18th, 1973, and then we hear some digging sounds, and we get our sort of exposition on the radio. While this audio is playing, we see a bunch of flashes which are just revealing to us these grisly images of corpses, presumably after they've been dug up. But the most important thing here, I think, is the sound design. We have that amazing sound of the flash bulb on the old school camera.
Right.
There's a creaking noise that almost comes after it. It's wonderful. I love it.
Yeah, dude, and this is gross. This body is fucking goopy.
It's been there slimy for a minute, dude. Yeah. All the skin sloughing off of it.
Oh, God.
But yeah, that sound is referenced in 100 horror movies because of how effective it was at setting the unsettling tone of the movie. We still got the digging sounds going on, but the radio report breaks in and it tells us that there's a grave robber out there. Uh-oh.
Yeah, shit, dude. And this is that's an understatement, because if you're grave robbing, you're taking shit, not creating works of art.
Yeah, man.
With the bodies.
That's the weird shit, because when the black screen breaks, it cuts to a close-up of this horrifying, juicy fucking corpse, and it's tied to a monument outside of the town of Newt in Huerto County, Texas. And it's this, cemetery monument. But it doesn't end with just that. They say at least a dozen graves have been exhumed, and it looks like whoever put this body there wanted to have a little fun with it, because he has positioned these bodies to look like one is behind the other one getting busy.
Yeah, dude, it's fucking weird looking.
Busy bone.
The whole thing with the scene is crazy to me too, because they're explaining, like I said, the grave robbers. What are you? They're not eating, but we come to find out where all these pieces are going.
Yeah, yeah. we'll get there.
Right.
There's a quick mention of the sheriff that's on this case, Sheriff Jesus Maldonado. Another thing I wanted to point out here is that we get the first sounds of something included in the sound design later I hate, which is, like I said, the just whacking that cymbal every once in a while. They go apeshit with it at one point later, but it seems like kind of inexperienced, I guess, sound design.
Okay.
You
think it wasn't well thought out?
Maybe. I don't know. It was like they were trying to get something in there to put you in a certain place, and I'm not sure. It works,
right?
But it seems like sort of mailing it in, I guess. I don't know.
Okay.
Radio report continues as we cut to our title card, and this dude mentions oil storage units are burning out of control at the Texaco refinery. This is going to be important in a little bit, and kind of world building thing in general. Like I said, at this point in American history, there really were oil and gas shortages everywhere.
Right.
Major oil and gas shortages primarily caused by the 1973 oil crisis, where Arab OPEC nations imposed an oil embargo on the U.S. in retaliation for its support of Israel during the Yom Kippur War.
Jesus.
The more you know, I guess. But I like that it wasn't just a plot contrivance to get these kids stranded in the middle of nowhere. It's a real thing that people were dealing with back then.
Right.
We can't even imagine that being the case now. What? No gas at the gas station, dude? Unthinkable.
Right.
But it was a real thing here. Also of note, our opening credits play over just images of solar flares and sunspots. Hooper was just trying to create a sense of unease, unrest, chaos, madness. I think it's really effective because another thing to point out, beyond the link that Pam is all about astrology and the effects it has on people later on, but another thing to point out is that this was also a time of unrest for America. We're just coming out of the late 60s with the free love movement and all that jazz. Woodstock was 5 years ago at this point.
Okay.
And then as we're coming out of the 60s, we're getting, the Manson family shit, and this, the perfect image of idyllic America is getting tarnished, and the gross kind of underbelly is flipping over to show itself. So now we have people murdering and eating each other as a result.
Damn.
It's
deep, Dusty. I think this one flew over my head.
That's the thing. Like, this movie on the surface seems like it's very simple and shouldn't really be much to it. Oh man, this crazy hellbilly cannibal family.
Mm-hmm.
But Tobe Hooper wrote this with intention, and there's a lot of shit beneath the surface there to pick up on if you do.
It's not just a hills have eyes crazy,
Sure. And you can watch this movie as just the crazy hillbilly cannibal family movie, and oh, hey, we're having fun, and oh, look at them at the family dinner, give grandpa the sledge, oh, whatever.
Right.
But
it's much more than that.
There's much, much, much more to it than that. Any dang way, the radio guy says that there was an explosion and a handful of people died in it. There's a cholera outbreak happening in San Francisco. In Houston, there's another incident where a guy commits suicide by jumping out of a window after a TV station blacked out during a sports event. Dude, I promise it's not that serious.
Jesus.
But even so, another guy threatened to jump out that same window, but police restrained him. Clearly, not even 5 minutes into the movie and people are losing their damn minds.
Wow.
So yeah, something's going on beyond just, this very isolated incident that we're experiencing with this group of friends here.
Right.
The credit sequence here finishes up and we cut to a direct shot of the sun in all its glory and then down to a dead armadillo baking in it.
Armadillo.
He's flipped over on his back in the middle of the road. That's pleasant. And we hold on that shot as we see the van full of our protagonists pull over to the side of the road in the distance. Inside it, we have Pam, Kirk, Sally, Jesse, Raphael, Sally, Jerry, and Franklin. Kirk gets out of the sliding door and he grabs some boards out of the van and props them up against the side. Oh man, what's this about? Turns out Franklin inside is in a wheelchair and he has to go pee.
Yeah, he's got to take a piss. Which, all right, as we get into this scene, there's not a whole lot to talk about. Essentially, Franklin gets wheeled out. They give him a coffee can. He's got to take a piss.
I was just going to say disagree. There's plenty to talk about in this because what the fuck happens here, man?
Evidently, Franklin is so close to the road that the semi blows by and fucking throws his ass down the hill.
Let's set the scene a little bit here, okay? Kirk helps him out of this van, right? He wheels him out. He pushes him over to some tall grass at the top of a hill so no one can see him. He takes him away from the van a little bit. So we've got road, shoulder, van, big old patch of grass, and then Franklin and even taller grass, and then apparently there's a hill. So I don't know what the fuck happens here. This doesn't make any sense. But meanwhile, while we're setting up for this ridiculous ass scene, whatever it is that happens, the radio is still talking about some fucked up shit. A couple more bodies were found and identified as women, but it's because their male genitalia was removed. What in the fuck is going on?
Ew.
So yeah, Kirk grabs a can for Franklin to piss in. I was kind of wondering why not just piss on the ground, but I suppose you might dribble it into places you don't want it.
I was saying avoiding this entire situation.
Have you ever tried to pee sitting down but not into a toilet?
No.
I imagine that could be problematic eventually. So yeah, let's do the can thing. So Franklin's doing his thing. He looks like he's struggling a little bit, and then, like I said, I don't know what the fuck happens here because a semi-truck drives by, and I guess it kicks up a little bit of dirt and grass and shit as it passes, because Kirk throws his arm up to block it. But poor Franklin gets the worst of it somehow. I don't see any contact being made, but like by some magical gust of wind, he looks like he's getting pushed, and oh my God, this is the best. It's just Franklin careening down this fucking hill in his wheelchair. He goes rocketing down it. He tumbles out of it, and the wheelchair itself comes up to hit him afterwards. Insult to injury.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, none of this makes any sense, but it's great anyway. Fuck Franklin. I hate Franklin.
Just let him piss in the can going down the road.
Why not? Why can't everybody just turn around for a second?
But anyways, he eats shit,
Hard. And it's pretty great. He just lays there afterwards like, oh, fuck. This watch through, like I said earlier, was probably the most sympathetic toward Franklin I've ever been. The guy is pretty good in the role, like we mentioned. I do love his accent, and some of his line deliveries are pretty great. He's just so whiny and irritating all the damn time.
Right.
So he falls down this hill, and everybody comes to help. Kirk gets him back up. We cut to the 5 of them back in the van, and Pam opens up her astrology book. We get a lot of that in this movie.
Right.
Franklin starts bitching about the heat. Yeah, dude, it's August, and you're in Texas.
Oh, yeah.
He's got his shirt hanging open. He's got a fucking Baby Ruth chilling in his shirt pocket. Yeah, dude. This thing's got to be just a melty puddle of fucking chocolate in here.
Everybody's sweaty. It's Texas, like you said.
But yeah, hell, I respect the Baby Ruth, dude. Me, and Sloth. Hell yeah. Pam says the condition of retrogradation is contrary or inharmonious to the regular direction of actual movement in the zodiac and is, in that respect, evil. Whatever the fuck that means. Just a bunch of goofy astrology shit. Apparently, retrograde is when a planet appears to move backwards in its orbit of the sun, but it's just an optical illusion because it's the pleats. Basically, since Earth moves around the sun faster than Mars, when the Earth passes Mars, it looks like Mars is moving backwards when it is, in fact, not.
Space
Therefore, you space boy. Therefore, retrograde is complete horseshit along with the rest of astrology. So there you go.
I was going to say, I've heard some shit about retrograde before. I don't fucking know.
No, I don't care either. Pam says when malefic planets, because celestial bodies are out to get you, are in retrograde, and Saturn is malefic, just so everyone knows, okay? When they're in retrograde, their maleficence is increased.
What?
Exactly. She says Saturn is a bad influence, but especially now because it's in retrograde, blah, blah, blah. Sure, lady, anything you say. Jerry turns to Kirk and he's like, man, you believe all that stuff your old lady's hawking me? Jerry, by the way, I'm pretty sure he got his glasses from the Elton John catalog. But
pretty sick.
He's got the face of a sad bulldog.
Yeah, I agree.
The van pulls up to a cemetery, and this place is fucking jumping for some reason. I have never seen this many people at a graveyard without a funeral actively happening.
That's what I thought, too. What the fuck you guys doing? Small town, huh?
Right. We see some guy in coveralls holding a bottle of booze, and he's like struggling to get himself up out of a tire on the ground.
Yeah, dude, this guy's crazy as shit.
Yeah, well, he's drunk as shit, that's for sure.
Well, he's just talking.
Yeah.
Just talking.
Yeah.
Bad things happen here.
You think he might be just talking, but he might have something to say about that. We'll address in a second here. Sally hops out of the van, and so do her nipples. Jesus Christ, man. I guess this is as good a time as any to mention that Sally's nipples have a more prominent role in this movie than any of the Sawyer boys.
Yes.
I know it's the early 70s, but damn, dude, at least try a bra. Like, those things are fucking large and in charge, and they do not leave the screen.
Thank you.
Anyway, she gets out of the van and just kind of yells out, my granddaddy's buried here. Can we find out if anything happened to him? Fuck you mean? Of course something happened to him. He died.
Her granddaddy.
I guess she means with all the grave robbing and whatnot, trying to make sure Grandpa's grave wasn't disturbed.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the boys sitting around points her in the direction of the sheriff and says he'll help her out. But somebody walks up, maybe the sheriff himself, and escorts her through. And there's just this, big police escort now. Like, oh, please, out of the way. This lady needs to see her granddaddy.
Yeah, it's weird as shit.
But that drunk guy we mentioned falls backwards and gives us this, ominous message while Franklin watches from the van. He goes, things happen here about they don't tell about. I see things. They say it's just an old man talking. You laugh at an old man. But there's them that laughs and knows better.
They knows better.
They do. They finish up at the cemetery, and Sally reassures Franklin that nobody dug up Grandpa's grave. That one was safe. But speaking of nasty dead bodies, everybody in the van starts freaking out over the smell that suddenly overwhelms them.
Right.
Franklin turns around, which is not easy to do in a wheelchair in a van. And he says, oh, hey, that's the old slaughterhouse where Grandpa used to sell his cattle. We got an uncle that works in one of those places. Those buildings are where they kill the cattle. They whack them in the head with a sledgehammer. Usually it wouldn't kill them on the first lick. Is it just me, or does Franklin get a little too much joy out of talking about this?
I think he gets joy out of talking at all. And I just want to be like, shut up. Which, we get that from some of the characters too. Like,
yeah,
you're crazy, Franklin.
We get a shot of them passing by about 1,000 cows. There's just this nasty, gritty shot of the van driving by them. And the score kind of ramps up a little here just to turn up the tension a bit.
Dude, the shots of the cows are pretty gross, too. A lot of them are, fucking drooling or something. And I'm guessing it's the heat. It's just
Sure.
gross as fuck.
Yeah, very intentional, though.
Yeah.
Franklin goes on and on about this whole process. He says sometimes even 2 or 3 more whacks wouldn't kill him, and sometimes they'd start skinning them before they were even dead. Pam says, oh, people shouldn't kill animals for food. All right, maybe, but have you experienced how delicious it is when they do?
She'd be pretty hungry, man. Don't take away my cheeseburgers.
Franklin explains that they don't do it like that anymore, though. They have this air gun that shoots a bolt into their skull and then retracts it, and he keeps going, boom, boom,
Yeah,
boom.
fucking cool, dude.
Well, dude, are you fucking 5 years old? Jesus Christ, man, we get it. But this air bolt gun thing, by the way, is another reason you got to check out No Country for Old Men. It's a great movie, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Sally yells, hey, I like meat. Can you please change the subject? And back to Franklin bitching about the heat. He pulls out a little pocket knife for some reason and starts picking at his hand with it.
Yeah, gross.
And this is about the time Sally notices there's a hitchhiker on the side of the road.
Hitchhiker? Pick him up.
Jerry asks if they should pick him up, which the answer to that question is always no, but not in the 70s. People did that shit all the time back then. Kirk says, yeah, man, pick him up. He'll asphyxiate out there. And Franklin says he's just going to smell like the damn slaughterhouse.
Yeah, and he ain't wrong.
No. The hitchhiker, of course, is Nubbins Sawyer. We don't get any of their names in this movie, but we know the hitchhiker to be Nubbins. And like we said earlier, the old man we're introduced to in a little bit is Drayton, and I believe Nubbins later in this movie is the first person to say Leatherface in the whole franchise, so that's pretty cool.
It's crazy if we're trying to keep up with all the future movies, too, because they're not always the Sawyers, too. They end up being the Hewitts.
The Hewitts and the... Isn't there like Hoyt in there somewhere? Or...
Yeah, I think so, yep.
It's a really cool detail here that when they start talking about a hitchhiker, immediately Pam wants to see what he looks like, and the camera zooms in on her expression as she finds out what he does look like. She's like, no fucking way, dude.
No, thank you.
Fuck that guy. He's weird looking. Keep driving. But they do indeed pick him up. The second this dude gets inside the van, the vibes are way off.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I would have given it about 3 seconds, and then I would have pulled back over,
right,
and booted him the fuck out. There's no way. Everyone kind of backs away from him, and they're all crowded in the front of the van, just kind of staring at him for a second. And Franklin says, "I think we just picked up Dracula."
Yeah.
And he asks if he works at the slaughterhouse, and, Jerry asks where he's headed, and he just says south. Cool, all right. Nubbin says that he was at the slaughterhouse, but he doesn't work there. Okay, weird. Why you just hang out there then?
Yep.
He says his brother worked there, and his grandpa. He goes, my family has always been in meat. That's the case with the Mitchell family as well, right, Jason?
No. Deal with the meats.
Well, you do work for Arby's now. That's not true. Franklin reacts to that line, him talking about his brother and his grandpa. It's Grampula.
Grampula.
Talking about his brother and his grandpa, he goes, oh, a whole family of Draculas. He asks if the guy's been in the room where they kill the cattle with the air gun, and Nubbins ain't having that. He says, oh, that gun's no good. You got to do it the old way. They died better that way.
Yeah, what the fuck does that mean?
Well, Franklin's like, well, wait a minute, I thought the gun was better. Essentially, what Nubbins is getting at is that those guns and various other advancements in industry and technology put people like him and his family out of work, thus forcing them into things like, I don't know, owning gas stations that don't have any gas, and killing people and eating and selling their meat and making furniture out of them and stuff like that, Then this motherfucker does some truly heinous shit. He's got this little gross fur bag that apparently he carries pictures around in. This bag is like made up of multiple different kinds of animals, it looks like, all just sewn together randomly.
I assumed it was a nutsack.
But he grabs some pictures out and he hands them to Franklin, and Franklin's immediately disgusted because they're just pics of dead and mutilated animals.
Yeah, it's like pictures from the slaughter room.
And he's saying, oh yeah, I was the killer. He also mentions they don't send the heads away, they make head cheese, which A, is apparently the working title of this movie, and 2, is one of the most disgusting things I've ever heard of.
I don't know, dude. Cheese is good.
Cheese is good, but not whatever the fuck they're describing here. He says they take the head and boil it down except for the tongue, and they scrape all the flesh away from the bone. They boil it down into a big jelly of fat. Fucking what, dude? Why?
Yeah, ew.
Pam says it sounds gross, and Franklin's like, oh, you'd probably like it if you didn't know what was in it.
I don't think so. Oh, no, thank you. I'm okay.
Kirk goes, come on, Franklin, you're making everybody sick, and he hands the pictures back to Nubbins. Everybody quiets down for a minute, and the music becomes a little more clear. We hear some kind of jazzy, swingy thing going on. But Nubbins grabs Franklin's knife out of his hand and just kind of stares at it for a minute. Kirk tells him to put it away, and instead, he cuts into his own hand while everybody else is just staring horrified.
Yeah, dude. What the fuck? Totally out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And then
starts laughing
and then
about
proceeds to bleed.
Yeah, and he just kind of stares around at everybody like, huh? What do you think? But nobody reacts, so he hands the knife back to Franklin and pulls out his own. It looks like a straight razor, to be clear, not a knife. But he's like, oh yeah, I got this knife. It's a good one. And Kirk's like, yeah, I fucking bet it is. Just put it away. Like,
yeah, shouldn't need a knife, dude. He's got a straight razor.
Yeah.
It's not a bullshit pocket knife you pick at your hand with.
Yeah. But I like Kirk's reaction to this. He's like a fucking hostage negotiator talking down an incident here. He's like, yeah, man, I'm sure it's great. Just put it away.
Yeah,
I understand it's a
put away your
wonderful
knife.
Looks like we have the best knives. All of our knives are wonderful. Just put it away and we're all going to be fine. So Nubbins stuffs this knife back into his sock and he pulls a big-ass old-school camera off of his neck, starts pointing it around at everybody and takes a picture of Franklin. Franklin's like, what the fuck, man? And then Nubbins goes, hey, you guys could take me to my house. I live right off this road. And Kirk's like, I don't know, man.
I think they've already had enough.
I like Kirk's line here. He's like, we're in pretty much of a hurry.
Right.
He says, oh, it's real close. And Sally goes, all right, good. Well, you should just walk then if it's so close.
Right.
He's like, no, come to dinner. My brother makes a mean head cheese.
Woof.
They're like, nah, we're all right. So he tears the paper off of this picture and shows it to Franklin now that it's developed. Franklin's like, wow, this sucks. Don't give up your... Oh, never mind. Nubbins is like, it's a good pic. You should buy it off me. The fuck, dog? Tries to charge him $2 for it. What is this, Terminator? They're all like, no way, dude. Give him back the picture. Nubbins gets all pissed off and pulls some more weird shit out of his skin sack. No idea why, but he's just got a wadded up ball of tinfoil in there and some gunpowder. He puts the foil down, the pick on top of it, and then he pours gunpowder out on top of that and lights it with a match. It flares up. Everybody freaks the fuck out again. Nubbins takes the opportunity now that he's got the element of surprise on his side, and he takes the straight razor back out and cuts Franklin's arm with it.
Yeah. Fucks him up, too, though. We said that straight razor ain't no fucking little pocket knife.
He drags it for quite a ways across his arm, it looks like.
Yeah. I'm actually surprised that they rub it off as he just has gauze on his arm in the next scene.
Right.
Because it's like, dude,
yeah,
his shit would have been filleted open.
It didn't seem like she took enough time to properly clean that.
No, dude, a straight
Whatever
razor.
Nasty shit's got to be on this straight razor, rust and blood.
It would have been like filleting chicken.
Yeah.
To stuff it.
Just
like,
split it open.
Just,
But this is what it takes to finally fucking kick him out of the van. When he jumps out, he turns around and kicks the van a few times, and he smears a bunch of blood all over the side as they drive away. He also does something else that will be called back to later and blows a bunch of raspberries at him as they peace out. Just...
Yeah, what the fuck?
Jerry goes, that's the last goddamn hitchhiker I ever pick up. And he's right, turns out.
Right.
So they keep on driving, and Pam says, hey, listen to Franklin's horoscope. Travel in the country, long-range plans, and upsetting persons around you could make this a disturbing and unpredictable day. Damn, maybe there is something to astrology.
I was about to say, it's kind of foreboding. Yeah. Here it comes, you know?
Yeah, Sally patches up Franklin's arm in the back while Pam reads her horoscope. Oh no, Capricorn's ruled by Saturn, she says. There are moments when we cannot believe that what is happening is really true. Pinch yourself and you might find out that it is. Well, what the fuck am I supposed to do with that? That's like getting a fortune cookie these days, and it's just like, your smile brings joy to others, and you're like, fucking thanks. When does the fortune part happen?
Never been a fan of those fucking fortune cookies.
No, they're fucking stupid. They pull up to an old shitty gas station, and there's a guy sitting out front with a bucket. This dude's my favorite. He gives Clint Howard vibes.
Dude, his fucking forehead is huge.
It's enormous. He's just sitting there staring at the sun, you know, like you do.
You ever seen 1,000-Pound Sisters?
No.
Dude, this chick's forehead is like real fat. It like sticks out real far.
Oh, no.
You have to look it up.
It's like one of those whales. I can't remember what kind of whale it is, but it's just got that like right on the front of its head.
They said, we thought Tammy had a tumor on her forehead, so we took her to the doctor. It turns out
Tammy.
she was just fat as fuck.
Jesus Christ. Sounds like a horrible fucking show that I don't want to watch. Finally, Drayton comes out, and the guy starts cleaning their windshield. This is a great bit that lasts throughout this scene. This dude, like, every time they start talking, he starts wiping down the window.
Right.
And every time they stop, he's like, oh, I got to throw him a rag in the bucket and wheel it back this way. But he, like, starts and stops a bunch of times. It's funny.
Right.
Drayton tells them that he doesn't have any gas. I love this. My tank's empty. Apparently, more gas won't be there until late this afternoon, maybe not even until tomorrow morning. So he taps on the van as if to say, see you later, and then the guy with the bucket immediately stops what he's doing, puts a rag back, and wheels it away. Franklin asks him if he knows where the old Franklin place is. Is this a botched line delivery? His name is Franklin, and he's asking where the old Franklin place is. Wouldn't it be the old Hardesty place?
Ooh.
At any rate, when Drayton walks back up to tell him what he knows about it, the guy with the bucket comes back to clean the windshield some more. He just kind of ping-pongs back and forth, not really knowing what to do, and it's great. But Drayton says, you boys don't want to go around messing with an old house. It's dangerous. You might get hurt. Don't go messing around with other people's property. Some folks don't like it, and they don't mind showing you. And Franklin's like, oh, well, my father owns it. And he goes, oh, it's your daddy's place? Drayton says, look, why don't you guys hang out here? I got some good barbecue.
Ooh.
And you can hang out and wait for some gas. Kirk says they should have asked if there was another gas station around somewhere. Meanwhile, there are some very intentional shots of Pam and Sally hanging out at the Coke machine. Really low angles to accentuate Pam's butt cheeks and Sally's camel toe.
Yeah.
All of which, along with her nips, are pretty extreme. Jerry goes to ask if there's another gas station, and Franklin starts stabbing at the interior of the van with his pocket knife for some reason.
Yeah, what a little fun. I just started doing that.
Yeah, Kirk's like, what the hell, man? And Franklin's like, yeah, I just kind of started doing that. My bad, dog. I don't know why.
Yeah, little fuck.
Well, fuck you. Stop it.
Right, what an asshole. I don't... What was even the point of having that and this just pointing out how much more we hate Franklin?
Yep. But he spots a bit of blood on the knife from the hitchhiker, and he's like, you think that's blood? Yeah, man. What the fuck else would it be?
Right.
Franklin talks about how impressed he is that the guy cut himself open like that. He goes, that takes something to be able to do that to yourself. And he asks if Kirk could do it, and he's like, no, dude, I'm not fucking crazy.
Right.
And Franklin's like, you think I said something to make him mad? Kirk's response is, Franklin, you're crazier than he was, man. Shut the fuck up. Jerry comes out of the station with some barbecue. Yum. He also mentions Newt is the closest place to get gas, and we heard the name Newt earlier. That was the town near Muerto County, or in Muerto County, that the bodies were taken from.
Right.
But that's the closest place to get gas. Franklin says, we're still going out to Grandpa's place, aren't we? He goes, there's a creek you could go swimming.
Which is, all of a sudden, gas isn't a priority now.
Right.
But, as they start heading over to Franklin's grandfather's place or whatever.
Franklin's.
They mentioned something about, if we run out of gas, Franklin, it's your ass.
Right. Yeah. Sally notices the blood on the side of the van. She says it looks like he was trying to write something. They all pile back into the van. They drive off in search of gas. Sally wants to see Franklin's knife because she wants to open some cokes and cut up a bunch of people meat to fucking pass out to everybody. Ooh. Gross, dude. After seeing that dude cut himself open with it, I would never use it for anything I'm putting in my face, that's for sure.
Yeah, what the fuck? I didn't even think about that. I guess they didn't either.
Yeah, and like you said, Kirk says if they run out of gas, Franklin's towing them back in his wheelchair. But he takes a bite of the sausage, and it looks like there's something off about it, but oh well, he just digs right back into it. There's a beautiful shot of the van pulling up to Grandpa's place. Jerry says it looks like the birthplace of Bela Lugosi. But they get Franklin out of the van, and he's just got the sausage hanging out of his face like a cigar.
Yeah.
He just has to get a look at the blood smear on the van. And Jerry says it's the mark of Zorro. Kirk starts to clean the blood off, and Franklin stops him. Fucking what? What do you mean? Like, what else do you need to see about this? He starts spitting out people bits, and he's just mesmerized by this blood. Inside, Sally tells the rest of the gang that they're standing in the room she used one summer when she was 8, right after her grandmother died. Jerry asks what happened, and her response is she died.
What do you think happened?
Kirk walks upstairs to explore some more and finds a big nasty spider nest. We zoom in on both, but they look like just like daddy long legs, right?
Right. It's a pretty cool shot, though.
It is. Sally says she's had a fascination with zebras as a kid. And everyone sounds like they're having a great time inside, except poor Franklin, who's struggling to push himself all over the place and not getting much of anywhere with it. He calls out to Sally, but no response. They're having too much fun without him. And Franklin stares off in their direction, looking super pissed. He starts mocking them, laughing, and then he blows a bunch of raspberries, like Nubbins did, but like times 1,000.
Yeah, he's extremely childish here.
I was just
Like
going to
said,
say, you disgusting child, you.
Right. Which is just playing into the character, it's good. He knows what he's doing. He's playing the character fantastic, and we hate Franklin.
Yeah, he's whining about shit. He goes, "Oh, come on, Franklin, it's going to be a fun trip." He goes, "If I have any more fun today, I don't think I'm going to be able to take it."
Right.
He tries to wheel away, but he smashes his leg into the door.
Oh, yeah, instant karma.
Yeah.
Fucker.
Right about this time, Kirk and Pam come downstairs. "Hey, Franklin, didn't you say there's a swimming hole around here?" And he just goes, "Yeah." He's like, well, where is it? We want to go swimming. And he directs him to a path. "Oh, there used to be a trail down between them two old sheds." Yeah, like I said, I do like his accent, but that's about it.
Right. Yeah, here he sees, they head off to go to the creek or whatever, the swimming hole.
The swimming hole.
If you will.
And importantly, Jerry and Sally aren't going with him.
Right. We get a cool shot here when they leave the house it's like animal feathers and bones. And as they zoom in, it's not just a pile of bones. Someone who's decorating or
Something is
ritualistic or some weird shit.
Right. Like warding or something, hanging it in the doorway.
Mm-hmm.
Because, when Franklin, after Kirk and Pam leave, there's like, Franklin turns around and it's like on the porch.
Right.
And it's like a bone pillow thing or something. There's more hanging above his head. And his voice cracks as he calls out to Sally. He's freaked out. Yeah, Sally! Cut to Kirk and Pam frolicking through a field toward the creek. They finally make it, and the slope down to it makes Kirk curious how Franklin ever got down there.
Right.
Apparently, he was born without the use of his legs. Pam says somebody must have carried him down when he was little, and Kirk is like, "Franklin was never little."
Yeah.
Oh, cool. More fat jokes.
Damn.
He hears the sound of a generator in the distance and looks toward it and randomly just shouts the word gasoline.
All right. Sees a farmhouse, which how didn't Franklin know this house? Like, it's right there.
Yeah.
It seems kind of crazy.
Well, I mean, who knows how long it had been since he was in the area, whatever.
Right.
They walk over to this house in search of gas, and Kirk says, "I can give him a couple of bucks, I can leave him my guitar, come back through later, pick it back up, give him a couple more bucks." Pam's like, "Dude, they don't want your fucking guitar."
Yeah, why would they ever want to fucking do that? Let's go back.
Right. But as they walk through this property, there are so many fucking signs that point to nope.
Yeah, pretty much a car graveyard. You know?
Dude. Bunch of random trinkets hanging from trees, a shitload of old cars covered with some kind of Vietnam-era military camo.
Mm-hmm.
These are all the previous victims, I'm thinking.
Yeah, I would think so.
However, now I get to punch you twice because there are two Volkswagen Beetles mixed up in here. There's a green one and a white one, or a light blue one or something like that. So come over here real quick. Let me just...
Slug bug.
So Kirk finds the generator and yells out to see if anyone's nearby. They walk up to this old farmhouse and knock on the door for a minute. There's no answer, of course. And this is an amazing shot through the swing in the front yard, perfectly framing the porch.
Oh, yeah.
Kirk goes to take a step away from the door and accidentally kicks a tooth just laying on the porch.
Yeah, a fucking tooth.
Just a random porch tooth like you'd find on any American porch, you know?
Jesus fucking Christ, dude.
He hands it to Pam and she flips out. She's like, "Let's go." And he keeps knocking and yelling into the house. When we look inside, it looks mostly dark, but the focal point is this alarmingly red room, walls painted bright red, bunch of animal skulls hung up on the wall. As we zoom into it, we hear the sounds of a pig squealing. Kirk opens the door and he steps inside, and he immediately trips over something and stumbles into one of the greatest kills ever. As he's trying to get his balance, he's basically falling into this room and right into Leatherface, who steps into frame and raises a hammer above his head. He brings it down and hits Kirk so hard with it that he spins him around completely. Kirk does a vertical 360 and lands on his back, flopping around on the floor like a fish.
Yeah, dude, he's like having a seizure.
Super striking image, blood streaked all down his face. Pam is outside with no idea what's happening. Leatherface whacks him another good one to shut him up and he, get him to stop moving. And then he picks Kirk up and drags him all the way into the room and then, dude, The sound and image of Gunnar Hansen slamming this sliding door will forever appear in my nightmares. It's so good.
Yeah, this big steel fucking door.
Yeah. There's a great droning score that kicks in once the door slams, and it's important to note that that entire sequence happened basically in silence in terms of score or sound design.
Yeah.
Besides the sound of the hammer and Kirk writhing around and shit. We cut back out to Pam on the swing. She calls out to him but doesn't get a response. I also really love this shot tracking behind Pam as she walks up to the house to see what's going on. It actually starts behind the swing and then moves forward underneath it. This was apparently a point of contention on set, I think. There was something where, like, Tobe Hooper and Daniel Pearl were going to be fired from production if they didn't get the shot, and they came up with this. I don't remember exactly what the story was there, but I'm glad they came up with it because it's fucking fantastic, and so is the rest of this movie.
I just like Pam's red shorts here.
I'm sure you do. and the fact that her shirt doesn't cover anything on the back.
Love it.
At any rate, Pam slowly creeps toward the house, calling out to Kirk. She walks back onto the porch and comes inside, looking around at all the gross. She hears stirring from another room, so she bursts into it like she's playing hide and seek, and then she immediately trips and falls into this room that's basically carpeted in feathers and bones.
Yeah, dude, it's fucking gross. I feel like I can smell this room.
Yeah, dude. I can smell this entire movie.
Right.
There's just a bunch of chickens hanging in cages and more bones either tied to furniture or made into furniture or just dangling from the ceiling. I mean, hey, at least they don't waste anything, right?
Yeah, it looks like it's mostly chicken bones and shit, and then we start seeing all the human bones and, like you said, the furniture, the decorations.
Yeah, they get crazy with this shit.
It's fucking badass.
Do you want a bone throne for your home?
Shit, yeah.
There's one decoration in particular they focus on, and it's a skull tied up with twine, and it's hanging from the ceiling, and there's just a cow horn shoved into its jaw. I'm guessing that was the cause of death. I kind of want to see that in a prequel.
Yeah, it's pretty bitchin'.
There's also a broken turtle shell hanging out. That's fun. At this point, I think she's firmly on the camp of, oh, fuck this place, I'm in danger. She starts gagging and freaking out, and I'm just thinking the whole time, dude, close your mouth. You're gonna suck a feather up in there, dude.
Yeah.
Gross. She finally gets back up to her feet and starts to run, still calling out for Kirk. When she gets back out to where she started from, Leatherface opens that door to the room back up and starts shrieking and chases Pam out the front door. No sooner does she open it than he catches her and drags her back in. He looks absolutely terrifying with this skin mask and apron on.
Oh, fuck yeah.
They're both doing a hell of a job of acting in this scene, too. Sometimes you'll see someone being held captive like this, and you can tell as an audience member, like, okay, this is just for the plot. She could definitely be trying much harder to get away. But no, dude, not here. Pam is flailing around with everything she's got to get away from this monster.
Yeah.
But he's just too damn big, and he's just throwing her around like a little rag doll. He carries her into his studio, and the shot cuts into this room, and in the foreground is a meat hook that the camera's kind of focused on. Ruh-roh. He heaves her up onto it, but we don't actually see that happen, as you might today. It's actually amazing how much violence and graphic content is not included in this movie.
Right.
But everything is just so dingy and dirty and disgusting the whole time that you walk away thinking you've watched something much more graphic than it actually was.
Right.
She tries to pull herself back up off of it, but it's no use. She's done for.
Yeah, she's hooked.
But let's talk about the real crime here. Leatherface is honestly just defending himself in his home. The true plot of this movie is the fucking Sawyer boys defend their turf. This is a home invasion movie. Drayton, Nubbins, and Leatherface have to protect their fucking sausage and chili empire they've built. And these damn teens just start walking into his house unannounced. What's he supposed to do? Just let them do whatever they want like they own the place? No, damn it. He's an American. A lot of people say that this is an early entry into the slasher genre, but no, dude. This is more like The Purge, Panic Room, Strangers.
Get out of my house.
She's got some great reactions to ending up on this meat hook. We cut away from that, and we see Kirk laying on the table in front of her.
Yeah, she gets a nice shot of dinner getting prepared, I think.
Yeah.
You know?
Leatherface walks over to a chainsaw on the counter, and he fires it up after tossing something in the sink. There's a great shot of Pam hanging above a bucket, and then Leatherface brings the chainsaw over to work on Kirk, and she just gets to watch, dude.
Yeah, dude, it's great. The shot here is really grainy. and it's fantastic. It's perfect. We get sunlight coming through the windmill in the next shot.
Right. I was just about to mention this is
so
a beautiful
good.
shot of this windmill
Right.
that pulls us away from this madness, but we still hear Pam screaming in the distance.
Right.
Hell yes.
Amazing.
Cut back to Sally, Jerry, and Franklin back at the van, and Jerry's teasing Franklin that the hitchhiker's going to come back to get him. Sally says, well, if that happens, we'll protect you. But Jerry won't stop fucking with him. He's like, I told him your name, Franklin. I even gave him your zip code. Like, hey, Jerry, is your last name Lewis? Your accent sounds a little like it. But let's leave the jokes to the professionals, okay? Franklin is rooting around in the van looking for his knife that he can't find. He's like, oh, I can't find my knife.
You don't fucking need it. You're fucking up the van, you asshole.
Yeah, no more knife for
He's
you.
too
dude.
little to have a knife.
Sally asks, was that a short joke? He's in a wheelchair, dude. Rude. Sally asks when he had it last, and Franklin's like, well, wait a minute. I didn't have it last. You had it last.
Gave it to you to chop up that meat we had.
Yeah, all those
man.
people bits. Remember when you
Right.
cut those up for us? Where'd you put my fucking knife? Jerry's like, well, hey, man, the knife isn't going to do you any good anyway. The hitchhiker likes that knife, remember?
Yeah.
Sally thinks she gave the knife back to Franklin, but he says no, and she's like, well, fine, I'll look for it then. Jerry mentions that he's going to walk down to the creek to look for Kirk and Pam, and Sally asks if she can go too. Wow, dude, and leave your wheelchair-bound brother who's already tweaking out.
She's sick of his shit, and so am I.
He's already freaking out about people out to get him, but you're going to leave him alone and it's getting dark? You're kind of a dick, Sally. Jerry says, no, you stay here. She tries looking for the knife for another half a second before saying through gritted teeth, I can't find it.
Right.
Franklin asks if she's mad at him, and she's like, no. He's like, you are mad, aren't you? I'd be mad at me if I was literally anybody else, too.
He knows.
He goes, I don't blame you. And then even Tobe Hooper wants Franklin to shut the fuck up because it cuts mid-sentence away from whatever he was about to say next to Jerry searching for Kirk and Pam.
Thank you.
But it does kind of quickly cut back. He asks Sally a very heavy question. He goes, you really didn't want me to come, did you? And she's like, no, I'm just tired. It's been a long day. Baby, it's about to get a whole lot longer. He asks her if she believes in all that stuff Pam was talking about Saturn and retrograde and all like that. She says, I don't know. Everything means something, I guess. And for the 1,281st time in this movie, Franklin asks again, you don't think that guy would follow us, do you? I mean, there's just no way he could follow us. Franklin, I swear to fuck, if you say that one more time, I'm going to kill you. He goes, no, he's probably afraid Kirk will kill him.
Yeah, right.
And he goes, Sally? She's like, what now, Franklin? He's like, oh, nothing. Never mind. Like, no, fuck you, dude. We ain't got time for that kind of bullshit. Just stop talking. She's completely exasperated at this point and doesn't dig any deeper, you know. We cut back to Jerry's search for Kirk and Pam. These are some of the most beautiful shots in the movie, just following him through the countryside. And there's all these like magic hour shots.
Right, yeah. The sunlight here is perfect for these shots. They knew what they were doing.
Yeah, really great stuff. A lot of more like silhouette shots going on. Daniel
Right.
Pearl's the man.
I like how as Jerry is approaching the house now, the house looks pretty good from the outside.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost kind of...
Well, Drayton takes pride in his home.
Yeah, it looks nice. But you just don't know what's going on inside.
Right,
You know? It's
exactly.
approachable.
So we get all these beautiful shots. However, this is also the point I was talking about earlier where someone decides they're going to go absolutely batshit with a gong and a cymbal on the sound design. I might have taken another run at that, personally.
Thought it was good.
Eventually, Jerry does indeed find the house, though. Walks up to the porch and knocks. No answer, but he does see the towel they took with them. I think that's what it is anyway.
A towel or a blanket, yeah.
Draped
it's,
over the railing of the porch there.
Right.
He hears some jingle jangling from inside the house and he assumes they're messing with him, so he comes inside too. He searches the house and finds the bloody hook that Pam was hanging on, but she is gone. He sees the bloody table that Leatherface was chopping Kirk up on, but he's gone too. And then the freezer in the corner starts rattling.
Yeah, shit.
So Jerry opens it up and finds Pam dead, or nearly dead, inside anyway. She kind of shoots back to consciousness, and the whole thing is weird because his attention is drawn to the freezer because it starts shaking, right?
Mm-hmm.
He opens it up and sees that she's in there passed out. Okay, so then what made the freezer rattle? And then she wakes up at that point and freaks out. She wasn't
Right.
moving around before that. Why was the freezer rattling?
Shitty old freezer.
But anyway, this scares the shit out of Jerry, and he stumbles back, and she just passes out again. Meanwhile, Leatherface walks out like, Jesus Christ, are you fucking kidding me? Another one? He whacks Jerry with the same hammer he killed Kirk with and slams Pam back into the freezer. I love the way she, like, folds back up into it. It was
Right.
definitely planned out meticulously, but she, like, throws her hands just perfectly over her chest so she can fit inside.
Right.
So Leatherface has another dead body to clean up, but first he kind of glances around the house for a minute to make sure there aren't any more. He's not having a very good day, it seems like to me. He does his little shriek thing and runs over to the window to look outside for more intruders. And he sits down for a minute and puts his head in his hands for a little me time to decompress, you know.
Whew, what a day.
Well, he needs to ground himself again. He's wigging out a little. Too much activity today.
Right.
You do kind of feel bad for him. You get the sense that he's obviously not the one running the show, but he wants to please his family members that are running the show. And his faculties are a bit on the dim side with whatever developmental disabilities he deals with and, you know, what with the inbreeding and all. But we hang out with him for a second while he's trying to wrap his head around what the fuck is happening, and we get a zoom in on him and a close-up of these nasty-ass teeth. Woof, dude. Not Gunnar Hansen's actual teeth, just for the record.
Right.
But I like the score here a lot, too. We cut back to Sally and Franklin. The moon has now risen, and night has totally fallen at this point. Franklin is sitting in front of the van while Sally honks the horn. The van lights are on to illuminate the little area they're in. Franklin says, oh, they must be lost.
Right.
Sally says if they're not back soon, we have to go looking for them. And Franklin's like, I don't know about that. Like, what if we get lost too?
Right.
We should probably just go back to that old gas station and ask for help. But Sally says she's not going anywhere without Jerry.
Yeah, goes both ways. You almost don't want to risk it, but what if they come back? So,
Right.
kind of torn, you know. Everybody's just kind of calling names here, and
Yeah, they yell out for Jerry some.
right, they'll probably be back in a minute or so. But obviously, we end up with let's go looking.
Right. Well, Franklin turns on a flashlight and aims it at his face like he's about to tell a spooky story by a campfire. And Franklin, you know, mentions again they'll probably be back in a minute. Sally says, give me the flashlight. I'm going to go look for him. And Franklin's like, fuck that. You are not taking my flashlight.
Yeah, what a dick, Franklin. He got the car at least. Come on.
Well, this is where they realize the keys to the van are gone. So you better turn those fucking lights out because you're going to kill the battery.
Right.
She tries to trick him into giving her the flashlight to, you know, go look for everybody, but he's not falling for it. I like the way she said it. She's like, well, let me see that for a second. Like, I'll give it right back, I promise. You know, she was just about to fucking dip out on him.
Oh, yeah.
He goes, look, I'll just honk the horn some more. That'll solve it. And Sally walks up from, they start fighting over this flashlight. They're both losing it at this point. Franklin finally says, all right, if you want to go look for him, I'll go with you. And she's like, fucking how? I can't push you down that hill. Are you kidding me? She finally says, fuck it, I'll go without the flashlight. And Franklin starts tweaking out. He's like trying to keep up with her.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. But it didn't last long because in the next shot, here we are. Sally is pushing him through the woods. And I mean woods.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't even look like there's a path there, really. She's just heaving him up over sticks and roots. This is a fucking nightmare. After a minute, they see a light, and Sally realizes there's a house, so they start making their way toward it. Normally, that might be a good plan, but maybe not so much here.
I said, might as well join them, huh?
Right? They start getting closer to the sounds of the generator. Sally is about ready to give up and leave Franklin in the woods. But suddenly, Franklin goes, wait a second, I hear something. And then Leatherface pops up out of nowhere and starts sawing into Franklin.
Fucking thank you. Been waiting for that the entire movie.
Thank you, movie gods.
Chainsaw by flashlight. The blood splatter here is badass, man.
Yeah.
Very creative.
I was going to say, like, once again, we don't really see much happening, like, at the point of activity.
Mm-hmm.
But there's just, like, quick cuts and suggested gore here, but there is a great close-up of Leatherface. Gunnar Hansen does a great job of selling it, and between that and the terror on Sally's face, that's really all we need. But we do get some blood spraying all over Leatherface in the meantime.
Mm-hmm.
That looks great. We see the flashlight drop to the ground, and Sally hauls ass out of there. We get a couple of minutes of Leatherface chasing Sally through the woods. I love this big lumbering dude with his saw, and he has to stop every once in a while to clear out some branches out of his way.
I was gonna
because
say,
he can't get through the small spaces that she just did.
he's a master woodsman.
She finally makes it to the house they saw earlier and starts banging on the door, screaming for help. I hate to break it to you, Toots, but you came to the wrong house for that. Them Sawyers don't sell no Yankee boys no truth.
Yeah, she actually gets inside the house and locks the door behind her.
Yeah.
And Leatherface comes up and just starts sawing through the door. And I'm like, Jesus,
Buddy,
man.
that's your house,
Fuck.
man. That's your mom, dude. Sally runs upstairs and finds a room with a person in it, I guess. It might as well be the corpse of an old man.
Right. Grandpa and Grandma, dude.
Yeah, there's also corpses of a woman and a dog. That's fun. Cute little Tim Burton family vibes over here. We get some of the sound design back from the beginning, and that creaky noise we heard, and hilariously, she kicks the dog over as she runs out of the room.
I don't think I even noticed that.
Yeah, dude. She just
Kick my
blasts
dead
it.
dog.
Why you kick my dog? Sally runs down the stairs just as Leatherface comes in, so she's like, nope, fuck that. Runs back upstairs. He chases her up, and she just straight up jumps out a fucking window and falls 2 stories back to the ground. Her shirt gets completely ripped up the back in the process.
Yes.
God damn it. We get it. Leatherface kind of looks out the window like, man, come on. Like, I'm not jumping out this fucking thing.
Oh, hell no.
He runs back down into the house downstairs and back outside. He chases her through some more woods. There's a spot where she falls down and he gets pretty close to her. He's right on her ass as she finally makes it back to the gas station.
Right.
And then once inside, Leatherface kind of disappears for a while. Like, he's just... We don't get the reveal that Drayton has anything to do with it right away.
Right.
Or the old man, whatever.
I think, did Leatherface or Leatherface got like clotheslined by a tree branch during that scene?
Did he?
Somebody did.
I didn't
have
see
a
that.
note, clotheslined by a tree branch.
Was that her falling, and that was why she fell and was down for the count for
That
a
might have
second?
been somebody got.
It was probably her. I doubt it was like he would have chopped it down with his chainsaw.
That's
It definitely
true.
wasn't Leatherface. But yeah, she collapses inside this gas station where Drayton is trying to calm her down. He's like, "Don't worry, you're all right now." She's just rambling about her friends and asks him to call the cops, but he's like, well, I ain't got no phone here. We have to drive over to Childress. He gets into the truck, or he goes to get the truck. And there's some good panic acting here from Sally. She's just like eyes darting around, breathing heavy.
Well, you can definitely tell, even though at first glance, all right, he's trying to help. Let's go get the phone. But when he goes to get the truck, he leaves the door wide open.
Yeah.
You know, and that's my first, well, not my first red flag here, but red flag for him. Like, okay, she's freaking out. He's not taking her serious. So I'm going, oh, fuck.
Well,
We already know.
yeah.
So, yeah, she's fucking terrified here.
Well, her eyes are darting around. If it was me, my eyes would have been glued to that door,
Right.
thinking that the big hulking monster that was just chasing me through the woods with the chainsaw might still be right the fuck there, because where, like I said, where did he go?
Right.
As soon as she ran through the door, Leatherface just like fell off the face of the earth. So no idea where he went.
Right.
But she's also sitting next to the barbecue pit and looking at all the delicious meat hanging up in there.
Yeah,
Don't
and
that
we
look
can-
good?
We can hear the radio talking here, too, about the grave robbers. So
Yep. More about that.
putting 2 and 2 together here.
I love that we're literally we're staring at the result of what happened to the bodies this guy is talking about.
Right. Think it smells good?
That's a really good question, man. How far gone was that meat before they started cooking it is the question.
Is he putting barbecue on it as it's going, or is it like you cook it, you pull it off, you sauce it, or is he doing like, you know, Memphis style, throwing that barbecue on the
shit.
grill so you have
I don't know.
sweet baby Ray's?
Right. That's important. You gotta Oh, man. I would love a cooking show, a fucking Texas Chainsaw Massacre inspired cooking show on the Food Network. Please.
So I like here he pulls up with the truck, he gets out, he's got like a burlap bag and some twine.
Right.
And right away, from the look on his face, the way he's standing, you better cooperate and there will be no trouble.
Right.
Fucking knew it, dude.
She immediately switches gears. Before we get too far away from it, I wanted to mention real quick. The guy on the radio mentions that the temperature is 96 degrees and the humidity is at 98%. Holy fuck. Getting back into a little bit, like, this was a nightmare to film this movie. It was just hot and gross and smelly and miserable the whole fucking time. The dude on the radio says the sheriff is connecting the grave robbery to some West Coast jewel thieves. Fucking what, dude?
Well,
Digging up graves for the jewelry inside?
the cops are not accurate per usual. You know, they don't know what the
Right.
fuck's going on.
Yeah. But this is the part where, like you said, Drayton pulls the truck around, comes in smiling at her, importantly. He takes a rope out and she's like, the fuck, bro, we don't need that. And he's like, no need to worry, just cooperate and there won't be any trouble. She grabs a knife off the table, and he grabs a broom from the corner and starts hitting her with it like a fucking cartoon granny chasing a mouse.
Oh, dude, he beats the shit out of her with it, and it's comical as
But
hell.
it's so fucking funny because you can hear, like, just the weak sound of a broom hitting, you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's like using a brush on a snare, you know? But finally, he knocks her down, gets on top of her. He knocks her out. He ties her up and sticks the nastiest rag I've ever seen in her mouth. There's just dirt and blood and grease, and oh, God, it's horrible. Grossest part of the movie, by far.
There's something about him beating her with a broom that feels misogynistic.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
Is it the symbol of, the 1950s values? Oh, the housewife does the cleaning. I'm going to beat you with the broom that you're...
Something
It's
just
like
feels...
your signature weapon.
Yeah, something feels
It's like
wrong about
taking Jason's machete and killing him with it.
Right.
You know?
Something just feels wrong about it. And like I said, how comical it is with all the... you know.
He stuffs her into this burlap bag and drags her out to the truck. He puts her on the floor of the passenger side. He starts the truck, but then he's like, oh shit, wait a second. He has to go turn off the lights and close the door. So he turns the truck off, gets out, runs back in, shuts the lights off, closes the door. He's like, oh, I gotta lock up. He makes a comment, oh, the cost of electricity is enough to drive a man out of business. Again, that's partially what's driven them to do what they're doing, is just the state of the economy around this time.
Yeah.
He fires the truck up and keeps poking at her with a broken broom handle, even though he's also saying, oh, I hope you're not too uncomfortable down there. Fucking make up your mind, dude.
Yeah, dude, he's a sick fuck. He's...
Later, he says something that makes him completely paradoxical as a character, but we'll get into it. She's crying, and you can see some kind of compassion in his face, but he's flip-flopping between that and torturing her. So he finally pulls into the driveway of the Sawyer estate and sees Nubbins just kind of, I don't know, frolicking around, being a weirdo.
Carrying a dead raccoon. And
Yeah,
fucking...
he's holding a bag and whatever that dead animal is. I thought it was a possum, maybe, I don't know. But Drayton gets out and starts yelling at him. He's like, where the hell you been? And he's like, oh, I've been out on the road. Drayton says, you damn fool, you almost got caught over at Duke's. He's beating him with this broom handle the whole time.
Oh, dude, he's kicking his ass and
and
within the truck headlights.
Yeah, a really cool shot of this happening in silhouette in the light of the truck's headlights.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
It's awesome.
You can tell that, him and Leatherface, even though they keep saying a little later on, we do the killing and stuff.
Right.
They're not the brains behind it at all.
Right.
And that's why he's kicking his ass.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you fucking idiot. You almost got us all fucking caught.
I told you to stay away from that damn graveyard.
Right. Yeah, so here is where we find out he's been the fucking grave robber.
Right.
Been
Nubbins the whole time. But he says, he's like, nobody saw anything. Drayton finally has enough and gets back in the truck, and Nubbins hops onto the side.
Yeah.
They drive up to the house. Nubbins is a fucking lunatic, dude. Drayton tries to get out, and he slams the door on him again and punches it a couple times.
Yeah.
What the fuck is going on with this dude?
Yeah, I like this. I told you to never leave your brother alone.
Right.
Hopefully he didn't let any of those kids get away,
Yep, he tells him to get the girl out of the car. He's like, we'll have the whole county over here.
Right.
And this is the part where we have it in the intro of every episode. Look what your brother did to the door.
My thoughts exactly earlier.
Yeah.
We talked about it. Your fucking front door.
Exactly, dude. He's like, ain't he got no pride in his home?
Yeah.
Leatherface comes out of his little meat studio, and he's now wearing a much prettier mask and a wig. And
like it.
Drayton starts yelling at him again, and I think it's interesting that his shrieks in this moment are much more high-pitched, as if he's acting the part of the lady of the house, because we know that there's now not one ever since Grandma died upstairs.
Oh.
So really, really interesting family dynamic with these guys.
Wow.
It says Drayton's the cook, but it's also Leatherface kind of adopts the persona of, the lady of the house taking care of stuff,
And
being
that's
the
why
housekeeper.
That's why he's wearing the pretty woman mask.
That's why he's got this pretty woman mask on. That's why this is opening up a whole new fucking world for you for this movie,
It
isn't
kind of
it?
is, yeah. I just didn't.
Leatherface is actually probably one of our earliest iterations of like transgender representation in film, because we've got that whole dynamic that I was just talking about right there.
Mhm.
We've got let's think back to Norman Bates in
Right.
Psycho playing his own mother.
Right.
You have it all over over the place, and it's been around forever. But we're just now kind of digging into, as a society, that now that that's become more societally acceptable, or closer to a standard than it ever has been, we can now look back on movies like this and sort of see certain things that were trying to leak out in society because it was frowned upon, because it was not acceptable. We get images of it in things like this.
Right.
Interesting little tidbit.
That's deep, Dusty.
Yeah, man. So Nubbins ties Sally to the bone throne and takes off.
Don't say the bone throne.
Come on, why not? I like it.
I'm kidding. I do too. You go the old bone throne.
Yeah. He takes the bag off of her head. He recognizes her when he does, and he says, "Oh, I thought you was in a hurry." And he starts poking the shit out of her. Drayton asks Leatherface where all the kids are, and Leatherface gives him a little rundown like, "Oh, well, I put the one gentleman on this table here, and there was another who used to occupy this nice new wheelchair that I've procured, and there was also a lady I put on this hook to dry, and now she's chilling nicely in the freezer. No worries, good sir, all is well."
Jerky's in the process. It'll be done soon.
Right. There's a great moment here when Drayton says, "All right, then, none of them get away," and Leatherface is like, "Ah!" He sounds like fucking Lou Costello. He does that a couple times, like, "Ah, ah, 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 ah."
I didn't think it sound. I got more of a mental handicap kind of.
Yeah, because of his developmental disabilities, he's got a limited, mental faculties to respond with, but he knows at least how to say
Right.
It's another layer of who Leatherface is because of everything that's been going on behind the scenes and in the years leading up to this movie. You know? But Drayton is looking for any excuse to be mad about something because, like, he's relieved that nobody got away, but now he's like, "Yo, what the fuck did you do to the door, man?"
Yeah, fuck yeah. My damn door.
Nubbins is still working on tying Sally up to the chair, and Drayton says, "Go upstairs and get your grandpa." He says to Sally to take it easy and we'll fix you up some supper in a few minutes. Oh, no, thank you.
Yeah, when they go upstairs to grab grandpa here, they get more focus on some of the decor from everything around. We see like a rib cage with a light in it. It's fucking cool as shit.
A lot of this stuff is so inventive and creepy as fuck.
Oh, yeah.
It's also interesting that they're treating her kind of as a dinner guest and wanting to make it a big fancy presentation.
Right.
Speaking of Thanksgiving.
Right.
Another big fancy dinner here. Nubbins asks Leatherface to help him get Grandpa.
You get some teamwork.
Down the stairs, and that takes a minute. They put him at the head of the table.
No,
they actually put him right next to Sally, and they cut her finger and stuff it into Grandpa's mouth, and the blood seems to rejuvenate him. Wait a second, is this Texas Chainsaw Massacre or Hellraiser? Since when do we got magic blood healing going on?
So I'm thinking, if blood is the lifeline, right? Is the idea. Obviously, the blood ain't fucking working. Grandpa looks terrible.
Well, if I think he's supposed to be like in his 120s or 140s or something at this point. If you look it up, it'll tell you that Grandpa was like well over a century old. And if this is what they've been doing to keep him in such good shape, which I guess he is for being 120 to 40.
I guess he's breathing. I didn't really think about him. I don't know.
So is this a regular practice? Whenever they kill, the next person, they fucking, give Grandpa a little more juice.
Yeah. Tastes like pennies.
But he makes an interesting acting choice, and as he's drinking her blood, he's kind of flailing his limbs around like a baby eating a bottle. Like, it's fucking weird, dude. Nubbins has a straight razor to her neck, by the way, and we get another couple shots of the exterior and the moon. Apparently Sally's passed out at this point, but now she wakes back up to this nightmare dinner party. She starts screaming, and here's where we see Grandpa is now seated at the head of the table. Leatherface has another mask on, and he's dressed up for dinner now. He put on a nice blazer. Drayton and Nubbins are there too. Everybody's got their plate and fucking digging in. Sally starts screaming, and everybody else just kind of joins her. Jesus Christ, guys.
Yeah, they're kind of laughing too, but then we almost have like a howling out of Leatherface.
Yeah.
Like, I was kind of getting dog vibes from the way he was getting treated earlier and getting kind of scolded.
Maybe again, developmental disability sees his laugh is kind of mimicking what he's hearing from other people, but he doesn't quite get it right, right? That kind of thing.
Yeah, the big chandelier over the dinner table here, I wanted to know was the so face, fucking cool.
The light shining through that face.
Skin. And it's badass.
I also really like seeing her hands tied to another set of arms, acting as the arms of the chair.
Yeah. Which I don't know anybody listening in if you've seen part 2, but it kind of reminds me of the beginning of part 2 where Leatherface has a body over him.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same
Standing
thing.
on top of the car.
Right. I wanted to note we see Grandpa over there, like you said, at the head of the table. I said breathing.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Everybody's just fucking having a hoot, yelling for no reason. Finally, Drayton has enough, and he's like, quiet, everybody. We get a close-up of that nice lamp, the face lampshade above the table. The set design of the movie is really great, like we've been talking about. Drayton says, you act like a pack of hounds, and Nubbins points with his fork with the sausage on it at Sally, and he goes, we were just having fun. Is that he's got his signals crossed a little bit too. Like, that's not the face you make when you're having fun. Drayton yells out, you think this is a party? Sally at this point tries to plead with Drayton, and she goes, you can make them stop. And Nubbins mocks her, and he says, no, he can't. Drayton tells him to shut up, and he goes, it can't be helped, young lady, I'm sorry. Leatherface is creeping toward her for some reason, and he's like, oh, don't pay him no mind. Nubbins and Leatherface get real close to her, and Nubbins is like, you like this face? And then it pans over to Leatherface, and he's like, okay, how about that one? No, he doesn't say that. How about the one under that one?
Right.
Nubbins grabs her face, and Leatherface starts playing with her hair. She says again, you gotta make him stop, and Nubbins goes, he's just the cook. Drayton stands up and he says, shut up, you bitch hog. Oh shit, I didn't realize that line from House of a Thousand Corpses was inspired by this.
Oh yeah.
That old bitch hog don't know shit. Nubbins says, me and Leatherface do all the work. That's the first time we actually hear his name. Or, what we've called him. Mm-hmm. Drayton goes, you don't understand nothing. And Nubbins is like, I understand you ain't nothing. Me and him do all the work. And Drayton at this point, this is the line I was talking about earlier. He goes, I just can't take no pleasure in killing. That makes him completely contradictory to me. He says that, but he also tortures her in the truck. Later, when Grandpa's trying to whack her with a hammer, he's cheering him on like, get her, kill that bitch. Well, which is it, my dude?
I think it's he means he's not going to do the killing. So yeah, he was setting everything up.
He just can't have the blood literally on his hands?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That makes it so much better.
It just doesn't make sense at all. I totally agree with what you're saying. Maybe, like you said, they're trying to show a different side to him a little bit, but at the same time, he's going back and forth. He's fucking crazy.
Yeah, he does say there's just some things you gotta do. It doesn't mean you have to like it. And she starts crying, and Nubbins mocks her some more. He's imitating her crying. She says, I'll do anything you want. Oof, maybe dial that one back a little. She starts screaming again, and Drayton gets a weird smile across his face. We cut back and forth between the characters for a minute, and here's where we get like an extreme close-up on her eye.
Oh, dude. So I love this.
This shot is insane.
I have it fucking tattooed on my wrist.
Right.
This is some promotional shot from... if you look up Texas Chain Saw, there's a shit ton of art now, but some of the original stuff was a close-up of her eye. Yeah. And yeah, I have the fucking tattoo. You can see Leatherface in like the gloss of her eye in this fucking shot, dude, and it's amazing.
I don't even know how they managed to do this with the equipment they had in the early 70s. This is absolutely incredible. You can also see every little vein in her eye, every fleck of green. It was kind of making me think of the women's match before the Tyson Paul fight with the one girl that was in the corner, and the trainer was trying to stop the bleeding, and her fucking eyelid was just hanging over her.
You look like a pussy a little bit. Yeah.
Sally also has something in her eye, some little black speck of something. That kind of grossed me out. I can't have shit in my eyes, man. That's all bad.
Eye trauma issues?
I don't know what it is, man. I don't like it. I do not like it. Leatherface comes in close to her again, and Drayton says, back up, there's no need to torture the poor girl. Nubbins says, shut up, you just worry about the cooking. Me and Leatherface will handle this. And Drayton's like, well, get on with it then, I won't have this. Nubbins says, we ain't no hurry, she ain't going nowhere. Drayton says, fuck that, I told you to get it done, there's no sense in waiting. Like, why are you dragging this out?
That's how we get caught, yeah.
Right. I noticed at this point, the one corner of the table's all chewed up. That's weird. Nubbins says, I've been thinking about letting Grandpa have some fun. You always said he was the best. Hey, Grandpa, we're going to let you have this one. And we get more crazy quick cuts, more eyeball.
Old Grandpa was the best killer there ever was. Won't hurt a bit.
Right. Sally's screaming. Drayton says, just you hush. This won't hurt none. Grandpa's the best killer there ever was. Never took more than one lick. Damn, Gramps. He goes, he did 60 in 5 minutes once. They say he could have done more if the hook and pull gang could have gotten the beeves out of the way faster. Totally. Hear, hear.
The beeves?
The beeves. I don't know what a beeve is.
Well, Dusty, you see, when a man and a woman love each other.
Oh, get the fuck out of here. Nubbins unties Sally, and she struggles against him, but not much. This is one of those moments where you're like, okay, do you want to get away or not? He shoves her head over a tin bucket next to Grandpa, and Leatherface gives him the hammer, but he keeps dropping it. Obviously, he's fucking 900 years old. The whole thing takes like 5 minutes, and I gotta say, Grandpa's got some awful snazzy shoes. He looks like Ryan Stiles up in this bitch.
See, right away, I'm thinking, all right, Gramps killed. This is going to be cool as shit. He couldn't hold the hammer. Right away, I'm thinking, who is taking care of this man? Please give the man a glass of milk and some vitamins.
No, the blood from his victims. It's the only thing he can, he thrives on.
Somebody
anymore.
needs to bring in hospice for this motherfucker.
Grandpa does manage to get a couple good whacks in, but he doesn't put her down. We see a wound on the back of her head, but it's not enough. Meanwhile, like I said earlier, Drayton's cheering him on the whole time. Leatherface is kind of guiding Grandpa's hand on a couple of them. That was kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
But Nubbins is over it. He's like, give me the hammer. I'll get her. He tries to reach for the hammer, and Sally takes the opportunity to get away. Nubbins just kind of falls over into the bucket and doesn't react very fast.
Yeah, he's a dumbass. He sucks.
Right. Sally gets up and runs and immediately jumps out yet another window. She falls to the ground and kind of looks around for a minute to get her bearings. It's now light out again. We fucked around with that dinner literally all night long.
Oh, hell yeah.
She gets up and starts walking away, but she's limping pretty good here.
Yeah, she takes off down the driveway.
Yeah, and it takes them forever to get outside, Nubbins and Leatherface, but we hear the chainsaw fire up, and then Nubbins and Leather run out to go get her.
God, I fucking cringe at this scene.
Dude.
Because as I said earlier, that fucking straight razor, I just know the difference between a razor and a fucking pocket knife.
Right.
And when he gets out, Hitchhiker is quick, man. He's up on her ass, and he's just swinging that fucking straight razor.
He's just playing with her. Like, he's zigzagging around, just kind of, hopping back and forth, playing with her. Instead of grabbing her to bring her back inside, he's chasing right behind her and slicing her up with the straight razor.
He's cutting her back.
She didn't really have any blood on her up to this point, but now she's covered in it.
Yeah.
He's just slicing her back all up.
I'm getting vibes from Hellraiser 2 when he throws that straight razor to the mental patient,
right,
and he starts slicing. It's the same
right.
thing. That straight razor is just every slice that I see, I'm going, oh, it's splitting open.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which we don't really see. We see what he's doing, but not really the product of it beyond the blood.
It's just enough. I feel like you can hear it.
Yeah.
It's just.
And by the way, her little top is holding on for dear life, just getting shredded up as they go.
Yes. I'm sorry I had to.
I like Leatherface running in his little jacket and tie here. This is one of the best Leatherface looks for me. Probably why they went with that primarily for part 2, right?
Yeah, dude, I love it.
Nubbins is cutting her all up when a semi drives by. Sally gets out of the way just in time, but Nubbins gets run all the way over. Holy fucking shit, dude.
By the Black Maria.
There's a second here where the shot kind of takes a second to set up what's happening. So we get a little bit of Austin Powers steamroller scene here, and Nubbins is just like, no. He gets run over by at least 9 of this truck's 18 wheels.
Oh, yeah.
Holy shit. He literally gets like bifurcated by it. It's cartoonish. Like the sides of his body are fine, but the middle is completely flattened. This is really, really well done. Sally looks horrified by that. The truck pulls over like, oh fuck, I just killed a guy. Slow ass Leatherface is still catching up. Sally's limping toward the truck like, get me the fuck out of here. And there's a chubby truck driver that gets out of the cab of the, like you said, the truck is named the Black Maria.
Mm-hmm.
He walks up toward her like, hey, is everything okay? Until he sees Leatherface run around the corner with his chainsaw, and he turns around and dips the fuck out.
Yeah, oh yeah.
He jumps back up into his truck and helps Sally into it as well. Her back is all torn up now, we finally see.
Mm-hmm.
The truck driver closes the door, and Leatherface starts putting his signature on it with his chainsaw. Good job, buddy. Every artist should sign their work.
Shit, yeah.
Sally takes the opportunity to get back out of the truck. I'm not really sure why they didn't just choose to start driving, but here we are.
Yep, I kind of thought that too. But I don't, semi doesn't just start up and go.
Yeah, it takes a minute, but is Leatherface really climbing up on it? He's I would wager that they start moving and slowly rolling, sure, but Leatherface is just going to be focused on sawing into the door some more.
Right.
The driver also gets out. He turns around and he grabs a big-ass wrench before he does. And Leatherface runs around to the front and then, chases him some more. The driver just abandons his fucking truck.
Mm-hmm.
They all run down the road for a second until the truck driver turns around and he throws the wrench at Leatherface, nails him right in the fucking head with it, and he falls backward. The chainsaw falling directly onto his leg. Damn.
Yeah, it cuts into his leg here, which
pretty deep.
We get a lot of homage to that in a lot of the later films.
Yeah.
You'll see Leatherface fall and cut his leg, and it's just shooting back to the first one.
Right. He cuts into it pretty good. As he sits up, he kind of squeezes it with his hand and a bunch of blood squirts out. I wanted to point out his fancy cowboy boots right here. Say what you will about the Sawyers. They have pretty good taste in footwear.
I did not notice that.
Is that why you like this movie so much, Jason, subconsciously? Like, I know you got to think about your shoes.
Something about Texas.
Yoo-hoo! Leatherface slowly gets back up to his feet. This is about the time another pickup truck pulls up. Everyone looks over toward it, but the truck driver just keeps running.
Talk about being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah. Oh, my God, absolutely.
I thought it was kind of comical, this truck. Like, okay, this shit's going on. The semi's pulled off. Got a little scuffle going on. There's some people running around, but this truck is just driving by, right?
Yeah.
I would see it as just, hey, it's another car on the side of this truck, like, swerves and spins out like
he like fishtails 180 degrees.
Yeah, like holy shit.
She, like, when she flags him down, he does like, a little half a donut to turn around after running off the road a little bit. And this is the last shot we get of the truck driver, the semi-truck driver, by the way, because as the pickup whips around, he just runs out of the frame.
Right.
Some say he's running to this very day, but no one truly knows what happened to him.
Must have got away.
That man would later become Forrest Gump. Sally struggles like a motherfucker to get up in the bed of this truck, and Leatherface almost catches her before it's too late, but doesn't quite get there. Apparently the truck stalled, and the driver's trying to get it to start up again. And if Leatherface was smart, he would have just sawed up the guy in the driver's seat first, and then go after Sally.
Yep, I thought that too.
But he's too focused on the prize here, The driver of the pickup truck finally starts it back up and hauls ass out of there, and we get a cool shot of Leatherface chasing behind the truck and like swinging his chainsaw.
Mm-hmm.
Sally keeps screaming. She's just like, go, get out of here. I love the dude driving the truck keeps turning his head around like, what the fuck is going on, dude?
Right.
And Leatherface stops and raises his saw above his head like, I'll get you damn kids for this.
He goes into his little tantrum, man. He's spinning, throwing the chainsaw
Which
around.
is one of the greatest fucking shots in the history of cinema. We'll get into in just a second. But Sally in the back of the truck just looks completely broken. I guess it's a happy ending in that she got away, but she is not okay, dude.
Right.
She is definitely going straight to a hospital and then probably an asylum of some sort because she is all fucked up about the last 24 hours. I mean, actually, it's more like 12 hours for her. Things didn't really get fucked up for her until the whole crew was already dead.
Right.
But she's in the bed of this truck laughing maniacally, point proven. Not to mention there was another bit of the movie trivia here where, okay, so we know like the dinner scene was horrendous to film. It was hot and smelly and gross because A, Texas, and 2, they used real rotting meat for it. I don't know about that choice, but apparently that scene took like 23 hours to film or some shit like that. So everybody was miserable doing it. They wrap up filming. Everybody thinks they're done, but Marilyn Burns gets a call back saying, hey, we didn't get the fucking shot. So she has to come back for this, and she's already at her wit's end with this whole thing. And she has to come back for this final shot. And when they completed it, she said later that her hysterical laughter in the back of that truck was real. Like, holy fuck me, I'm finally actually done. Thank God.
Yeah.
But yeah, we cut to Leatherface dancing around impotently with his chainsaw in the morning sun. One of the greatest shots in cinema history for me.
So good. Like
It's
I said,
so
they were,
gorgeous.
I would imagine filming took so long because you only have a little window of what you want where that sun is shining through. And they used the sun and the moon in a lot of the shots too,
Yeah.
The film cuts very abruptly here.
In amidst Leatherface's little chainsaw dance here, we just cut to black.
Right.
So the end. Question mark?
Yeah, a bunch of stuff to note, as we mentioned a few times, was on set, this was not good for the actors, everybody. It was like bad for everybody.
Yeah.
Pay wasn't good. you know, like we could go on and we could add an hour onto this episode.
All the actors
for all the,
did this movie for a fucking pack of Pall Malls and
and essentially, if you really look into it, the actors and stuff that are still alive from this movie are doing things now, but they're just finally getting some of the recognition that they needed, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's been cult movie status forever, but they're still out there trying to get some kind of payback for doing this movie. Nobody got paid well, you know? The conditions were terrible.
That sucks. Yeah, on top of all that, damn. Woof.
You know, and then look at all of the movies that came afterwards too, and, you know, Gunner not getting called back, and just the list's huge. It's a fantastic movie. We all enjoy it, but I think the people in it, maybe not so much, you know?
They're probably just sick of fucking talking about it. Like, really? We got to go through this again? Yeah. I was in the fucking movie, all right? It was horrible. I can imagine Jerry bitching about it. But yeah, we get, like, after we cut to black, just an extremely simple end credits, ending in that same creaky sound from the beginning at the very end. I don't know if you watched till the very end of the credits, but that was pretty sweet.
Yep.
Hell yeah, well done. I think it's amazing how visceral this movie is without showing you much of anything. I think the Texas heat played a big role in that. This movie is so pretty. Like, it's beautifully shot. It shows its age at times, but overall it holds up to anything. I mean, Leatherface and the Sawyer family are fucking horror royalty for a reason. This movie is amazing. Yeah, dude, I gave this one 10 out of 10 Franklin raspberries.
Fucking Franklin.
For, you know, there's some questionable acting here and there, maybe. There's, you know, a couple of effects here and there that maybe don't hold up quite as well, but again, dude, 1974, it wasn't a huge budget for this. Everybody was, you know, this is more of a passion project for Tobe Hooper, really. Nothing more to say for me personally. Like, I love this movie. I will always love this movie. This movie will always have a place in the hearts of every horror fan because it's fantastic and set up the landscape for a lot of what happened after it, not to mention. And yeah, I appreciate the shit out of it overall. What's your rating on this one?
10 out of 10, man. I said this is my favorite. I got a whole tattoo sleeve inspired from this movie.
Do.
Even the shitty ones, I enjoy. I really do. A lot of people talk shit about Next Generation. I like it. I like Part 3, Leatherface. I like it all. I love 2.
You just like living in this world, this dirty, gritty, grimy, dingy world.
It's good. I appreciate, too, that it kind of bounced around a little bit. Like, obviously, this first movie is fucking scary. But I kind of compare it with, like, Evil Dead a little bit. Part 1, fucking scary. Part 2, it's scary, but it's fun.
Right.
And that's where we get with TCM 2, you know.
Yeah. Exactly.
I can't wait to cover that one too.
Yeah. Oh my God. Texas Chainsaw Part 2 is so ridiculous. I only recently watched it for the first time, but yeah, you can't help but have a good time with it. It's dumb as shit, but you can't help but have fun.
Love it. Love it.
So yeah, man, my recommendation is peel the cover art off of this movie and wear it on your face to proclaim your love for it. This movie's fantastic start to finish. You got anything else to toss in at the end here?
I don't think so.
All right.
Just tune in and love it. Embrace it.
Let's wrap it up, y'all. Hope you guys are enjoying your holiday season. Like we said last episode, we had Thanksgiving for you all to enjoy a couple of days before Thanksgiving, and our next movie we're covering is going to be equally as Christmas inspired. So get ready for that, y'all. So yeah, that's going to wrap it up for us, everybody. Follow us on socials at CinoBitesPod, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. Check us out on all the things. If you feel so inclined to support the show, you can do so by going to cinebitespod.buzzsprout.com and leave a little donation to help us make this a better product for you all to enjoy. But yeah, until next time, as always, everyone, dreams are fleeting. Only nightmares last forever.
I bid you welcome.
And his ginger buddy. You're ginger too, you dick.
No, I'm not, man. I'm just faux ginger. I'm Ginger Light.
Fucking daywalker.